Right, let's get the part started.
Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to Philosopher's Notes TV. Today, another great book, Procrastinate on Purpose. Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden. We just profiled another one of his books, Take the Stairs. Take the Stairs was all about taking action. Rory wrote Take the Stairs first, but he considers this book, Procrastinate on Purpose, kind of a prequel to Take the Stairs. Before you take massive action, you need to make sure you're taking the right action. You need to procrastinate on the stuff that doesn't need to get done before you concentrate on what does need to get done. One thing I talk about in the note is the fact that Gary Keller shared an idea in The One Thing. He says, yes, it's true that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a first step. But if your first step is pointed in the wrong direction, the reality is you could wind up 2,000 miles further away from your intended destination at the end of that 1,000-mile journey. Therefore, it's really important that we take the right steps. That's what this book is all about. Philosopher's Note, bunch of big ideas. Subtitle of the book is 5 Permissions to Multiply Your Time. This is our first big idea, multiplying time. Rory says there are 3 dimensions to time management. The first one is managing your time, doing as much as you can in as little time as possible. The second dimension is prioritizing your time. He talks about Stephen Covey, important and not urgent, quadrant 2 vis-a-vis quadrant 1. We talk about that in different places. That's prioritizing your time. But he says the most successful among us multiply their time. Multiply your time. How do you multiply time? He says you multiply time by spending your time today doing things that will create more time for yourself tomorrow. That's how you multiply time. And the book is all about helping us do that, which leads us to the second big idea, a focus funnel. So the book is basically organized around a focus funnel. At the top, we've got all kinds of stuff we could be doing. At the bottom, we've got the most important thing that we've chosen to do. So the 5 permissions are basically the structure of the book. The first one is to eliminate. Step 1, eliminate what doesn't need to get done in the first place. Step 2 is you automate. You find a way to automate repetitive tasks, right? If you're doing the same thing over and over again, find a way to automate it. Then you look at it and say, do I need to do this? You delegate. Important question here is, am I the only one who can do this? Is my unique set of skills required to do this task? If it's not, you want to give yourself permission to delegate. Then you get to a point where we're moving down our focus funnel and you can't eliminate it, you don't want to automate it, you can't delegate it because you actually need to do it, but it may not be quite the right time yet. Then you procrastinate on that until it is the right time to do it. A lot of people think they need to do everything the moment they get it, but you don't always need to do that. Sometimes you need to procrastinate on purpose. That's our 4th permission. And then you move all the way down. You need to do it, and now's the time to do it. Then you concentrate. Those are our 5 permissions. Eliminate, automate, delegate, procrastinate, and concentrate. Obviously, we can talk about each of them for a long time, and he does in the book. But for now, we're going to move to number 1, eliminate. So if you want to multiply your time, you want to create more time tomorrow than you have today, the fastest way, the number 1 way to do that is to eliminate the stuff that you're wasting your time on. You might think you need to do it, someone else might tell you it's important, but you know that it's really just not that essential. And then of course we have all of the time wasters that are unequivocally time wasters. He tells us something along the lines of the average American over 2 years old watches 34 hours of TV. 34 hours on average. TV, 34 hours. Can you believe that? 34 hours of TV. Now that would unequivocally fall into the realm of something you can eliminate. either entirely or certainly greatly. Look, you just multiplied your time. You just recaptured X hours a day from no longer watching TV, if that's a place you waste a ton of time. It's not rocket science, but we got to get clear on how we waste our time. In the note, I walk us through, like, what are the 10 things you do? What are the different things you do in your life that you just don't need to do anymore? Make an inventory, eliminate that stuff. That's the fastest way to create more time in your life. And it's one of the ways that I get a fair amount done. I don't waste a lot of time. I'm really clear on what's important to me. I have this focus funnel. I didn't use the precise words and frame that Rory uses, but I do a lot of this stuff, and I'm clear on what I'm going to concentrate on, and I've eliminated a lot of stuff that just doesn't need to be in my life. So think about that, eliminate, free up time. The fourth big idea is another good one. He says, look, a lot of people have a hard time saying no. If someone asks them to do something, they have a hard time saying no. Stephen Covey tells us it's actually relatively easy to say no if you have a really deep yes. If you have a really, really, really deep commitment to something in your life, it's much easier to say no than if you kind of sort of almost commit to something, which is why we talk about commitment all the time, right? Now, what he says, though, is you got to get good at having a nice, kind, strong no. People respect that. It's much better to do a polite no. I really appreciate you inviting me to do that, but right now I just can't because I've committed myself to this and this and this. I wish you the best of luck, blah, 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 and be polite and cool about it. People respect that, and it's actually much more kind to politely decline and say no than it is to reluctantly say yes. That's not doing anyone a favor. They feel it, you feel it, it's just not helpful. But what Rory tells us is anytime you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So if you consciously or unconsciously say yes to watching TV or to wasting time online, you just said no to journaling or reading or spending time with your family or creating. You're always saying no to something, so you might as well say no to the things that aren't important. It's a very big idea, cornerstone of the eliminate permission. So, fourth big idea. The fifth big idea is the number one most significant. So I'm not going to talk a lot about these guys, but when we move down to concentrate, the thing we're looking for here is what is the most significant thing you can do that will move you most powerfully toward what you've determined is most important in your life right now. Now that can vary from a creative project to an email to taking a nap to recharge to working out to spending time with your family. But in any given moment, we want to ask that focusing question. What's the number one thing I could be doing right now that would most significantly move me forward in the direction of my goals? Ask yourself that question and know that anything other than that is a distraction. And discipline yourself to, as we talked about in Take the Stairs, take action. Once you've gone through this, you can concentrate all of your energy on the most important thing. Anything else is a distraction. You are empowered. You know how to say no. You've eliminated all the stuff that doesn't need to be there. You've got your focus funnel rocking via these guys. And now you're multiplying your time. So there you go. Quick look at procrastinate on purpose. What idea landed with you? Let's move from theory into practice. Figure out what little thing you can do to tweak your life, to optimize your life via what you just enjoyed, hopefully you enjoyed. And there you go. Look forward to sharing more with you soon. Have another awesome day. See you.
Okay. I liked that one. So I'm a big Rory Vaden fan. I have not read his books yet, but they are on my list to read this year. Did anybody get anything from that? I know some people came in a little bit late here, but did anybody get anything from that? What were your thoughts? Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do you got there?
You know, when I was much younger,
Mhm.
I had a hard time saying no.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you build confidence in yourself,
Yeah.
you know, you have the power to say no. So I thought that that's really important to say no.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we as people, I think that, you know, especially being in the sales industry, we inherently want to make people happy. So when people ask us to do things, if people ask for things, we want to just do them, right? So we try to say yes as much as possible. But I think when you start saying no to the things that take power away from you, that actually makes you stronger. And one of the things that I do when I coach agents one-on-one, I say, you gotta put your people in your database. That's like number one. Like you meet with me, I'm like, okay, put your people in your database. Second meeting, I'm like, let's see the people in your database. And I will tell you this, 100%, 9 times out of 10, nobody's in the database. And so I'm like, okay, let me see your calendar. Like, what are you doing all day? If you're not putting your people in your database, what are you doing all day? And so what I typically find is that on somebody's calendar, it'll start at like 9 a.m. and then it'll be 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 p.m., right? There'll be like coffee, gap, lunch, meeting, gap, and I'm like, so you don't have people in your database. So what were you doing in like this time, like these hours, these like not minutes, these hours that you're doing all day? And so then they'll just say it'll be random stuff. Like there'll never be anything that's consistent. And I try to explain to people, like when you have gaps in your calendar, that's like white space is the devil. Because anytime you have gaps in your calendar, that time is negotiable. I'm like, well, you have kids, right? And this is my favorite explanation. I'm like, you have kids, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what time do you pick them up? Oh, I pick them up at 3 o'clock. Right, you pick up kids. Like, why isn't that in your calendar? They're like, well, I don't have to pick them up at 3. I can pick them up at like 3:30 or maybe 3:45, or sometimes it's 4. I'm like, so it's negotiable. I'm like, that doesn't help you and that doesn't help your kid if you do not have a set time to where you're picking them up. So if you pick your kid up at 3 o'clock, make it 3 o'clock, tell your kid it's 3 o'clock, and put it in your calendar at 3 o'clock, because you're a business person. You got shit to do. You got shit to do before 3, you got shit to do after 3. And if you have this 30 to 60 minutes of negotiable time at both ends of 3 o'clock, like that's not helping anybody. That's hurting you and your business because you are a business owner. And I think as realtors, that's probably the strongest title that we have to struggle with, is that we are a business owner. You own a business. And is your business thriving? Is your business struggling? What is your business doing right now? And your ability to say no to things is really powerful, because if your business is not where you want it to be today, that means there's things you're saying yes to that is hampering where you want to go and how you're going to get there. You're literally standing in your own way because you're saying yes to things that are not serving you. Yes.
I just like that idea of him saying, when you say yes to the right thing, you don't have that white space, so it's easier to say no
100%.
to things.
100%.
So I think it is making those decisions about what do you want to, like, and it could be even planning, like, I'm gonna take this on a day or a spot, half that hour. If
Yeah.
you need that, but it's in your schedule, so it's not white space.
Absolutely. And I think what's important is that it doesn't all have to be business related, but it should be things that fuel you, that help you. So like, I'll give you an example, is that going to the gym. That's like one of my highest priorities, like 7 days a week, go to the gym, because that it checks so many boxes. The other thing is like, I think you might have said like a spa day or massage or something like that. That's helps you. That centers you. It may feel like a luxury, but it actually helps you. It helps your body. It helps your mindset. It helps all those things. So it doesn't always have to be business, but it should be things that empower you to get you where you need to go. The multiply time, that's where we talk about this, like, what are you doing in your day? And so what I sit down to do is when I can't get people to focus on their day, I tell them, I said, so what I need you to do, kind of like a diet, like if you go to a trainer and like, he's like, okay, eat this and do this. And you show up the next week and you gained weight. The trainer's gonna be, okay, what did you eat and what did you do? And he's gonna start making you journal all of that stuff. Like, okay, I need you to write down, I cannot tell you how many times the trainer has said this to me. I need you to write down everything you put in your mouth all day. Big math, like, and I start shaming myself for the things that I'm eating, which is essentially gets me to stop eating them. So I do that with somebody's calendar. If I can't get them to focus on what they need to do, I say, okay, I need you to write down in 15-minute increments all day everything that you do. And typically the response I get is, really? I go, yeah, I want you to write down, went to the bathroom, did this. So we need to surgically take a look at everything that you're doing on a daily basis and figure out what's serving you and what's not serving you. And it's literally the same thing as a diet. Like, you go to the gym, when are you going, how long are you going for, and how much weight are you lifting? When you eat, what are you eating, how much of it you're eating, and what does it look like? So multiplying your time is basically taking out the things that are not working and inserting something that does work. So that's managing time and then prioritizing time. The focus funnel is similar to what we're talking about, the eliminate, automate, and delegate. So eliminate would be eliminate all the things that are getting in your way of the 3 to 4 hours of lead generation time that you need to do. And then automate is like putting everybody on your database on a smart plan. Even if you did 1 email a month to everybody in your database, a smart plan that you don't have to worry about it. You just push a button, it automatically goes out. So you immediately have everybody in your database 12 touches a year if you do that. And then the delegate, this is a little bit more of an advanced strategy, but where is your time best spent dollar for dollar? So at one time I did an analysis of somebody's cost per hour. Like what do you charge per hour as a real estate agent? And so there's a way to mathematically take how much money you make a year and then dial it back to how much it costs you to do something for an hour. And I remember I did this with an agent probably 10, 15 years ago. And what I ended up finding, it cost her $950 an hour to go pick up her dry cleaning. I was like, okay, so how much could you pay somebody else to do that for you? How much could you pay somebody else to pick up your kids, to do your dry cleaning, to do all these things that you're taking time out of your day to do? And how can you delegate that? So like for me, you know, I have staff, you know, my partner here, Sandy, she does way more work than she gets credit for, that nobody sees behind the scenes for me, because I do not push the button on all these emails that get sent out to you, all these things, that is not me. But I also have other things that I do with social media. So like I have a bunch of social media accounts and I post on my accounts every day, multiple times per day. That is also not me. Part of it's me. I have a VA that I've leveraged at a very, very attractive hourly wage on my part, that she's able to do all of these things for me. So that's the delegate part of it. And all of us can do that as well. Eliminate stuff. And all of us, including myself, we could probably go through our day and figure out what are we doing and how can we stop doing certain things. I have my day blocked out to where I have an hour and a half drive to work in the morning and I have an hour and a half drive home during the day. And then I spend a large portion of my day in the office. But during that hour and a half, I am probably more efficient than I am the entire day. So I have 3 hours a day that I am really efficient. I'm talking to people on the phone. I'm following up with people. I'm listening and reading to books and podcasts. And when I decided to do this drive every day, I decided I need to be super purposeful in everything that I do to make sure I don't waste any time, because there's a lot of people that like drive around, they listen to music all day. That's great. There's a time and place for that. But if I'm doing this every day, that's what's 5 times 3? It's 15 hours a week that I'm in my car, just back and forth. That's not including all the other things that I do in my car. And so I try to be super purposeful about all those things. And then when I get home, I'm super purposeful about going to the gym and then spending time with my family and doing all these things. So I have a very small window of amount of time that I can actually eliminate, but we can all improve. We can all improve. I think I'm actually getting out of control with my podcast. I'm listening to too many podcasts. I'm gonna have to dial it back a little bit. But there's a story about when he talks about significant eliminating stuff, saying no, he's talking about focus. Focus, I think, is something we can all improve on. I can improve on it as well. I was listening to this guy that was talking about Og Mandino. Does anybody know who Og Mandino is? Og Mandino wrote a book that we should all read. I read it. It's a really small book. It's very easy to read. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World. You guys have heard of it? Everybody should have heard of it. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Super small book. Have you heard of it, Carrie?
I haven't.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know. Usually when you say something, I know.
Yeah.
But I know.
So it's a really fantastic book. It's very basic sales kind of stuff. But Og Mandino, before he passed away in the 70s, he gave this talk. And he had everybody, he said, I want everybody that cannot read without their glasses to come up on stage. I need 5 people. He brought 5 people on stage and he took a piece of paper, he gave somebody something to read. He took a piece of paper and put a pinhole in it. And he said, look through the pinhole and see if you can read. You look through the pinhole, they were able to read, because what it did is it narrowed your focus and helped your eyesight. And so it was a very, very good example of being able to focus on certain things. I have probably a massively severe case of ADHD. And like, I didn't even know that because like, I think had it before it was cool and before they had medicine for it. But it's super easy for me to get distracted. If you look at my computer window, I have 45 tabs open right now. You know, it's just how I roll. I see people like, they start to short circuit when they look at my computer. I'm like, I got a lot going on. I'm doing a lot of stuff. And then my computer reboots and it loses all of them. It freaks me out. But I have that super bad case of ADHD where I'm always constantly doing things. You resonate with that? Yeah, see, right there. I always find somebody in the audience that's my people. But focus is something I think we can all improve on. It's something that if you can take 3 to 4 hours a day and be consistent in talking to people or lead generating. I just listened to a podcast this morning. Is anybody door knocking here? No door knockers? Anybody want a door knocker here? Okay, so this is what this guy does. And I would encourage you to go listen to this podcast. It's the MREA podcast. It drops every Monday. I have not heard a bad one yet. And it's been going since January. Richard Stone is a real estate agent that is in San Diego, California. He door knocks 3 to 4 hours a day. And he only does it 100 days a year.
I just looked at that. this
You
morning.
say 100 days a year, and he sells over $100 million worth of real estate.
What's his name?
Richard Stone.
He's 77. Did you already say that?
99.
So he's going off twice a week.
No, he takes 100 days. So you're taking the twice a week and expanding it over 12 months. He takes 100 days and he door knocks those 100 days, and the rest of the year he goes and travels.
Oh, 100 days in a row.
I'm sure it may be broken up. I'm sure it may be broken up a little bit or whatever, but he basically, what he does is he plans his vacations and then he plans his work around his vacations. And to be honest with you, if you want a hack, that is the way you do it. If you get a job at UPS, the beginning of the year, UPS says, I need you to pick all your vacation days for the entire year. And they make you pick your vacation in the beginning of the year, no matter what. And there's a lot of large corporations that do that. So he plans his vacation, then he plans his work around his vacations. And he literally knocks on the door. And so he did, what is it? You remember Tom Hopkins that he was talking about?
Mhm.
So Tom Hopkins is a legendary sales trainer, and he basically took Tom Hopkins' ideas and strategies and implemented them into farming, which is basically you mail out a letter saying, hey, I'm going to be the real estate expert in your entire area. And then you follow up with everybody, say, hey, did you get my letter that I sent out? And you just follow up with them and talk to them. And he said, until recently, I think until it's about 10 years ago, he never asked anybody if they wanted to buy or sell. He would just talk to them and follow up with them. And then he started recently asking people if they wanted to buy or sell. And it like 10x'd his business just by door knocking. But it's the consistency of the 3 to 4 hours a day. And I think he has his son that helps him now, but he doesn't have a large staff. He does about 100 million. Actually, I think he said they were going to do over 200 million in sales or something.
Yeah, some crazy number, but because that's all I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But I think that goes to show the importance of, you don't have to have a lot of sources of lead generation. Like, pick one and stick with it and do it really, really well.
Yeah.
I told everybody last week, I'm like, if you only did open houses for an entire year, 3 to 4 days a week, you do easily 30 transactions, no question asked.
Absolutely. So let's look at that. How do you do 30 transactions? So I'm gonna So Tammy and I have not talked about this. So only open houses. Let's make an app called Only Open Houses,
Yeah, there you go.
right?
No, I mean,
They have OnlyFans, they can be only open houses, right? Just for real.
It's the fastest way, in my opinion, to get a check. It's the fastest way to meet people that are actually interested. They're coming to you. So.
So.
It's free.
Yep,
It doesn't cost the agent any money
Yeah.
other than their time.
yep,
You know, maybe a case of water and some donuts or whatever you want.
yep.
And
So you
that's
sit there and
it.
let everybody come to you. So 2 days a week. So that's 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 days a month, 8 days a month. So where can you find open houses? That's the first question. Where do you find open houses? You can find them from agents in the office. Somebody, did somebody do an open house this weekend? Did you do an open house this weekend?
Monica did.
Monica did, yeah. Monica did an open house, for a new agent that just came to the office. So you can ask around, somebody's always looking for an open house. You can find.
But see, that's right where the problem is.
Yes,
Is that the agents aren't proactive
Yeah.
in doing that.
Yeah.
They're like, they'll say, oh, I, put myself on the list with Sandy and Sandy didn't get back to me, so there must not be any open houses.
somebody says that to you?
No, but,
Okay.
well,
I'm about
yes.
to blow somebody up right now.
they do,
Yeah,
they're like, well, I guess I don't need to work this weekend, so you've got to be, proactive in what you want to do as far as getting those open houses. And it's not just any open house.
Yeah.
Like, do your due diligence, go and see that property and go, this is a great property in a great open house location. Let me call the agent and see if I can do an open house. Or this property's been sitting on the market for 2 months. I'm wondering if they'll be open to an open house now. You gotta like put a little bit of effort
whatever.
in it and do your due diligence. But that's how I started my business every single time I was a new agent over 30 years.
Yeah.
I, moved to Colorado and then I moved back, and open houses were the fastest way to a check.
Yeah.
Didn't cost me any money.
Yeah.
And people came to me.
For sale by owners is a great way to find open houses. Go to a for sale by owner and say, hey, can I help you sell it? We don't have to sign a contract, just let me do an open house for you. And then when you find somebody, you make sure you're the point of contact, and then that person, has to go through you. And you're like, hey, I got somebody, this is what I'm gonna get paid. And you can basically start to negotiate your commission with them. But I'm gonna give you a super secret way to get open houses and to maybe get deals, but it's gonna require a little bit of work. That is, if you can't find anybody that has an open house, then you can say, go find somebody that's sitting in open house. And you say, hey, can I do the open house with you? This is what I'll do. So you have to bring something to the table. In any partnership, quick business 101, if you're in a partnership with somebody, you both have to bring something different to the table. If you both bring the same thing to the table, you guys should not be a partnership. So your partner, their partner, both have different skill sets. That's how you become successful. So if you go to somebody, say, hey, are you doing an open house? Great. Can I help you with it? This is what I'll do. I'll door knock 100 houses around the house for you before the open house, and I'll call 100 people around the open house for you, and I'll set up the signs for you. And then I'll help you run it as people come through. Not everybody's gonna say yes, but I can guarantee you, because I know agents, that nobody's gonna wanna call, nobody's gonna door knock, and nobody's gonna wanna set up the signs, and they will actually help you. You'll actually partner with an open house. Sound good? Or no?
Yeah,
So-
the other thing on for sale by owners, if you're wanting, you don't have to call them, go to their open house.
Absolutely. So you can, when you get an open house, you door knock around open houses. There are teams right now in Keller Williams that's their lead generation strategy, is door knocking open house, just doing open houses. And what they do is they start on Monday for an open house on Saturday and Sunday, and they start door knocking, they start dropping flyers, they start cold calling around it, and their entire lead generation strategy around an open house is just managing all the houses around there. They pick an hour before the open house to do neighbors only. Neighbors only open house from 11 to 12, open house starts at 1 o'clock. You bring food, you do a gift card giveaway. Somebody did this, they're not, I don't think they're here, and it worked out amazingly. So you pick the price, 20, 50. What I do is I do an Amazon gift card giveaway. Sign up for the Amazon gift card. Get everybody to sign up and say at the end of the open house today, there's gonna be a drawing. So let's say you get 20 people to sign up. Well, it gets everybody to give you the right name and the right phone number and the right email address, because if you don't give the right information, then you don't get the gift card. And then here's the plot twist, at the very end of the open house, when you do the drawing, everybody wins. So you have 20 people, you have 10 people that signed up, that's $200, but now you have 20 people in your database that you can call and say, hey, congratulations, you just won the gift card. When is a good time for you to come in to pick it up from my office? You get them to come in, you sit down, you give them a little bit of a presentation, and you basically create a connection. It can be any amount. It could be a $5 Starbucks card. It could be whatever. Yes.
I didn't understand. So you give to all the ones that signed up or just?
So I tell them where there's gonna be a drawing at the end of the day for the winner of the Amazon gift card, and I make them sign up, and at the end, everybody wins. I call everybody. I go, hey, congratulations, you just won the gift card. Yeah.
Or you can pick and choose. They were nice, they were not.
Okay.
So for when I had a farm area, I did this for Thanksgiving. I give away turkeys. And so what I do is I put all these flyers out with a turkey giveaway. Say turkey giveaway, blah, 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 on this day, I get 10 back. Everybody won a turkey. I call them up, congratulations, you just won a turkey. When can I come drop by and drop it off?
How much were your gift cards?
It varies. So I've done $5 Starbucks cards. I've done $20 Amazon cards.
Because if you have like 5, 10, 20 people come in,
I mean, it's your budget. It depends on your budget. So that's why I say you can do a $5 Starbucks card. You can do, it can vary, because I'm not gonna tell everybody to go out and drop like $20 or like $1,000 on an open house, that's insane. So it has to be budget friendly. This is just a strategy to get people's names, because at the end of the day, if I could give you, how much would you pay for 20 people's names, emails, and phone numbers of people that are looking to buy a house right now? What would you pay for that?
Cheaper than a Facebook ad or.
And her idea is great because you really only give it to the people that, hey, I don't have an agent or
Yep.
whatever. You don't just give it to.
Well, and that's that's where
That's
you
what I
need to work it on the front end. For those of you that do have my open house script, and I'm happy to share that with you. It's basically 3 simple questions. And if you've been to any of my training, I reiterate this a million times. They walk in and you introduce yourself and you say, how can I help you today? I know it sounds weird, but you're gonna find out in the first 60 seconds who they are, what they're looking for, what they want, because they're gonna say, oh, I'm the neighbor across the street. Just wanted to check out the pool. Or they're gonna say, you know what, my kid plays soccer over here. I'm tired of driving back and forth. Great. Next question. Who's your agent? They can't lie. When you ask them, who's your agent? They're gonna tell you, oh, I don't have one. Awesome. And the next question is, who's your lender? Almost every buyer that's gonna walk into an open house that's actively looking has already talked to a lender. Guaranteed, in my opinion, in my experience. So after that, you know who they are. They're not working with a realtor. They've been pre-approved, but you don't ask them, what do you pre-approve for? Because that's kind of invasive, right? So you just say, oh, awesome. What price range are you looking at? What price range are you looking at? Now, they're gonna lie a little on that. We already know that.
Yeah.
You know, well, but at least it gives you an idea. And then, so if they're pre-qualified, let's say up to 500, or I'm looking in the 500 and you're showing an $800,000 listing, you can say, and if you're doing my system with the coaching and you're looking at 3 to 4 properties a day, which everybody should, if you don't have any business, so you know your inventory, to say, oh, have you seen the house over on blah, blah, blah? Oh, great, well, let me show it to you. It's 5:30, I close my open house at 5. I can meet you over there at 5:30. Is that a good time for you? Boom, done. Now, the whole buyer broker, that's a whole nother subject, but that's how I would roll all my open houses. I would also, with that house, there's 3 or 4 areas around it that are active listings. I would book all 4 of those houses. So if they're not interested in that open house, I'd lock up the open house and go show them the other 4. And sometimes I'd have 2 or 3 buyers. We just all caravan over there.
Yeah.
So there's just so much,
Yeah.
it's so easy to make money with open houses.
Yeah.
If you just commit to it, get into the routine, and you get better at it. And that script is so easy. You're gonna get a lead every time. So if you're doing 8, that's 8 active people right there.
Exactly.
And a lot of those can be double in.
Yeah.
Because they're sellers too. So,
When
sorry, I didn't mean to take up
No,
all that
no,
time, but it's
that's
just
great
important to know.
trust me, they do not want to hear me blabber on for an hour.
Okay.
So this is good stuff. So with Tracy,
Please, thank you.
Tracy's not a big open house person, but when she did do open houses, she did something I never saw another agent do, which I just thought was brilliant. Is that she had these poster board up, this big poster board, it stood like this, and it had 3 sides to it, and she would have other information about properties that were similar for sale in the area, so when somebody shows up, if that house wasn't for them, there's other opportunities for them. So you can do it like a poster board situation where you can have a little pamphlet with your information in it and say, hey, if you want to see one of these properties in the neighborhood, just give me a call and let me know. And then she would hand out all this information. I can guarantee you, I've been to so many open houses, I've never seen anybody else do that. And I've never had a buyer walk out of an open house with just the whole presentation basically on who you are. I talk to people, when they come into my open house, I was super aggressive. I was just like, hey, so we're looking to buy a house today? I mean, they're coming, it's an open house, they're coming in, like, I'm not gonna play this little cat and mouse game. And so this is what I would say. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Are you looking to buy a house today? And then, they would say, whatever. And I say, that's great. If you love this house, do you have a house to sell to actually buy this house? Do you need to sell your house to buy this house? And then I find out, do you rent or do you own? I just right out the box. Like, I only got a few minutes here. Let's work this out. So I would actually get a bunch of business from that because it would have them engage with me. And I'd say, how long have you been looking? And they'd be like, oh, like 6 months. Oh, and I'd be like, 6 months? Good Lord. It's how many homes? You must have seen a bunch of houses. Like, I'd get all concerned and weird on them. I'd be like, oh my God, 6 months? Have you always worked with the same agent? They haven't found you anything for 6 months? Like, I would get all weird and they'd be like, no, yeah, I know. And like, I'd get on there, like, we'd be all like against the other agent, like, I can't believe it's taking so long. That's crazy. It's 30-day on the market, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I had a situation in an open house, where a couple walked in and they said, oh, I've been looking for a year. What? A year? So long. I know
Right.
the market is tough right now, but that is a lot. So who's your agent? And it's my cousin. And I go, well, maybe you should be working with me because obviously your cousin is not working for you. Well, I went online, looked up his license, looked up everything about him. His license down by, his license was, with problems with the, Department of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I immediately copied it, I sent it to the client, I ended up selling them.
There you go. I know, I asked her, I go, you working with an agent? Oh, yeah, I'm working with so-and-so. Have you signed a contract and you committed to that agent? I just asked them straight out. At an open house, I will just boldface ask you because the chance of me seeing you again is pretty rare. And I only have like a few minutes to like figure this out with you. You're either interested or you're not interested. And so and I'll tell you, this has happened. Very few have I gotten people to say, I'm in, let's go.
Yeah.
Usually what'll happen, you will have a conversation, I'll ask them all these questions, it'll be very aggressive. And then I'll just say, hey, if you have any questions or you need anything, call me anytime. Give them my card, give them all the information that I have. And then I can tell you right now off the top of my head, there's 2 or 3 times that it's happened where they've called me back. One of them is like, help us, these people don't know what they're doing. And the other one was like, hey, you seemed really cool, like, can you help us with blah, blah, blah? And like, I just connected with them. But I'm usually typically pretty aggressive when it comes to things. Tracy's like, oh my God, what was that noise? I don't know, Tracy, like, I don't,
That's the second time we talked.
yeah. Weird, something's going on here, we got a ghost in the machine.
It's also a great idea for all agents to go, just to go check out open houses to see the inventory
Yeah,
in the neighborhood that they're invested in. There was one time I went to an open house and I heard a family coming out and saying, "Ooh, I hate that house, it's terrible,
Yeah.
that's not what we want." And I go, "Well, then what do you want?" And immediately took them to another house and man, I ended up selling them.
yeah. So here's another hack for open houses. Find homes listed by other agents. They've been on the market more than 30 to 60 days. And then ask them, hey, do you mind if I do an open house for you? And then what I would do is I would try to do open houses at different times. Not necessarily Saturday and Sunday. A lot of times you do get traction on Saturday and Sundays for people that are super serious, but people that take time off and go on vacation and go on trips, you're gonna miss those people because it's the weekend. So a really good time, especially if it's in a high traffic area. If it's in a high traffic area and you do it during the week, like a twilight open house. You do like 4 to 7 or something like that. That's gonna get you people that are on their way home from work, that are like, just don't have time during the weekend. And it's a really cool time. The days on market, there's not a lot of them, but there are homes that have been on the market for more than 30 to 60 days that like. At that point, it's not about you selling the house. That's a way to get exposure, create connection, and maybe find a buyer. Because people are interested and the neighborhood will be interested. But if you are not where you want your business to be, or if you want more business, look at what you're doing and figure out where is your focus. Because if your focus is in real estate where it needs to be, then you're on the right track. If it's not, what is your focus on that you can manipulate, that you can move, that you can change? You have to change something because this is the key to success, is you have to focus on what you're doing and you have to be consistent. Focus and consistency. That's it. It's not intelligence, it's not talent, it's none of that stuff. It's these two things. And then intensity. Intensity. So like if you take a magnifying glass and you try to like, anybody take magnifying glasses and try to burn ants? When you're young? Come on, I know you guys did. I know.
When we're younger.
When you're younger. So like if you take a magnifying glass, you can focus, but the more you focus and the more you make that intensity will be like, you can burn paper, you can burn almost anything if you get that focused intensity through the magnifying glass. You are the magnifying glass. And you just have to figure out how much you're gonna burn into that piece of paper. And that's the intensity. So you have to do that. You have to focus on what you want to do. If your focus is right here and only right here, this is gonna start to smoke. But if your focus is this, you feel like you're chasing cats all day, like you only have 100% of you. And if 100% of you is focused on what you want to accomplish, the chance of you accomplishing it is going to be really close to 100%. But all of us have things that we have to do. So if you take 10% to put over here and 10% over here and 5% over here and 20% over here, how much are you actually focusing on what you want to do when it comes down to your actual percentage? I think once you take everything in your life and realize how much you're really focusing on, you'd be surprised. Because I don't focus 100% on everything that I need to do because I have family, I have dogs, Tracy, I have working out, like I have all of these things that like my attention goes to all of these things. And I think the thing that people talk about is like, I need to have a perfect work-life balance. That's not possible. You're balancing, you're always balancing. There's always going to be a little bit more on one side, a little bit more on the other. Like this last week, I had to put a little bit more focus on my family. I had an issue with my son, I'm trying to deal with my son, so I put a little bit more focus over there. Well, that means something else had to suffer. And there are other times when like, you know what? like, oh man, I really want to go to that game. I really want to do this. I really want to do that. I need more money. So now I have to focus on my business. So the focus shifts from from personal to business because I'm trying to make things happen. Things are always going to be balancing. So where are you at in your life? Where are you at in your business? And where does your focus need to be? That's what I would ask myself. And then look at what you're doing on a daily basis. At the end of the day, track everything you did and say, how could I have done my day better to have better results than I did today? And then every day you whittle away at the issues that you're having and the struggles that you're having to see how you could do your day a little bit better. And just one more example for myself is that when I was trying to figure this out, I was talking to my coach, my trainer, and he was just like, well, your ass has to wake up in the morning and go to the gym. Doing it in the afternoon is not working out for you. Just for clarity, I'm still struggling with this because I am not a wake up at 4 a.m., go to the gym kind of person, but I'm working on it. But he's just like, this is what you have to do to improve your situation because every day I'm improving in some way, shape, or form. And he's just like, well, this is what you got to do because this is going to do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. And so that's one of my personal struggles that I'm working out. But there is something like that in your life that you can probably move around, shift around, and start whittling away on your day. But you have to reflect on your day. Like, we do team meetings in this office every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Do you do team meetings with yourself? Do you sit down with yourself and go, how are you doing? What are you doing that you could be doing better? What are you doing that is not working for you? Do you have these inner conversations and inner meetings with yourself? Some people like to meditate. Some people like to do different things. I like to sit down with yourself and say, what could you be doing better? Frank, what's wrong with you? How do you fix this? What are you doing? And like have an inner dialogue with yourself. That's not negative. That's not positive. It's just like matter of fact of how are you doing and how can you improve every day? And do a daily team meeting with yourself. What do you guys thoughts? Thoughts, feelings, concerns, questions? Anybody? Tracy, have anything to add? Sounded like a dog growling. That's what it sounded like.
I've been on mute this whole time and the dogs are asleep in the other room.
What's going on with you? Making weird noises over there. Was that accurate? When I talked about the open house thing that you used to do, was that accurate?
Yes. Although I wouldn't bring out my poster until the seller left, because obviously the seller wouldn't want to see my poster of me advertising other listings, but it makes it easier to strike up conversations with people entering the open house.
Nice.
They
Right.
linger a little bit longer.
Yeah. Gives them something to look at.
Yeah.
My other thing is that have a sign-in sheet that's on an iPad if you have an iPad. I've never had anybody not sign in. If I go, hey, the seller requests you to sign in, I hand them an iPad. It's usually like, oh, okay, and they fill it out. So any thoughts, questions before we wrap this up?
I like the idea of having a team meeting with yourself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be difficult to reframe like yourself as your own business and doing these things that you would do for somebody else's business, doing them for yourself. All of the nitty gritty of the upkeep and the logging information and the checking in and this and that. It can be, you just have to like run yourself like a business.
Yeah. You are the CEO of your own life. And so what I would recommend to you is when you run your team meeting with yourself, run it like I would run my team meeting. Like start off like what's positive, like what's happened. Like don't just beat yourself down, encourage yourself. And say, what did you do good today? What happened? What are the good things? Okay, how could I improve that? What are the, and just basically recount everything for that day. Don't go outside of that day because that becomes overwhelming, right? So focus on that day and say, I could have done that better. How could I have done that better? And then just reinforce it with positivity. So the one thing about me is I'm super crazy positive, like probably at a clinical level that I would need help. Like I just think everything is possible and I am always positive. And so I would say when you talk to yourself, to always try to reframe it to be positive because I catch myself talking negative to myself all the time. And I stop and I try to think something positive. And sometimes I literally have to stop and just sit there and go, okay, because I'm beating myself up in my head. And so and the thing is that I'm sure we can all relate to this. Like we all do this. And so just focus on that day, focus on the positive things you've done, and then focus on all the things you have done that you can do better. And I think that you'll find like your mind, when your mindset changes, it changes everything else around you. Any other thoughts or insights? That was good. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. All right, let's play the last video and get out of here and get to work.
You might have more talent than me. You might be smarter than me. But I will not be outworked. Period. It's such a simple, basic concept. It's the guy who is willing to hustle the most is going to be the guy that just gets that loose ball.
There's only one thing you cannot purchase. There's only one thing you cannot buy, and that's what real beef do. That's something you're gonna have to do.
You gotta put more energy and you gotta put more effort in your stuff than anybody. So you getting up at 4 and it ain't working, get up at 3:30. So you read the book once and then you didn't get it, read it twice, read it 3 times.
If a person leaves at 6, you leave at 8. If a person makes 100 calls a day, you make 200 calls a day. If somebody practices 3 hours, you practice 5 hours. If somebody practices 6 hours, you practice 8 hours. If someone reads 2 books, you read 4 books. Just do a little bit more.
Because there's somebody out there who wants your spot. And so you gotta embody excellence.
It's one thing to be hungry, it's another thing when you're starving. Starving for greatness and starving for success.
You start training, train like it's your life, not a game, like it's your life. Like this the last opportunity, only opportunity.
See a guy like me? I knew someone was better than me. There's more talented people than me, probably more talented than you. But you might outwork me for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, but you ain't gonna beat me over a year. You can't outwork me over 2 years. You aren't gonna outwork me over 3 years. I'm gonna get you eventually. I'm a dripping damn faucet. I just keep coming at you. You might think I'm knocked out, I just keep coming. I'm too damn tough to give up. Most people half-ass half their life all the time. I knew they were gonna get tired. They were gonna flinch. They were gonna get down. They quit improving themselves. They start sleeping in. They spend all their damn money. I'm not gonna do that stuff. I'm gonna save money. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna keep getting wide. I'm gonna stay relentless.
It is the process of the grind that shapes you and forms you. It's not the game. And that's why most of y'all get beat in the game or make mistakes in the game because you think grinding is what happens when the sun comes out. You think grinding is what happens when the lights come on. You think grinding is what happens when people get in the stage. That's not grind. The real grind is in the dark when nobody sees you. When nobody knows what you're doing. When you studying without coach. When you putting in those extra reps. When you watching those videos and you getting inspired, when you change your music, it's the process that makes you sweet.
It has everything to do with what time you wake up. It has everything to do with how you eat. It has everything to do with how you work out, how you prepare. It has every single thing to do with how you think. And if you're gonna be the best, the cream of the crop, you gotta be it, not talk about it. It has to consume you. It has to take over you, that when I see you without even knowing you, I ought to be able to look at you and from your ethos, I ought to see you are the best of the best. I ought to know what you're doing without you saying one word. It ought to illuminate from you.
No alarm clock needed. My passion wakes me up. My drive wakes me up. My determination wakes me up. My ability to be, do, and have whatever I want, it wakes me up. What wakes you up? What drives you? Why are you playing this game? Is it just a game? Or do you eat it? Do you sleep it? Do you drink it? Have you possessed the game?
And what will separate those of you from the rest is what you do.
Guys, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Can you send us that video, please?
Huh?
Can you send the last one?
Yes,
Send
of
the
course.
last one?
Yes, of
Can you
course.
send it to us? Thank you. That was perfect.
You like it?
I loved it.
Oh,
Who is
okay.
it? Who is it?